Quantum biology. How life harnesses the impossible. The hidden quantum code of nature. Have you ever wondered how a robin finds its way across an entire continent without a map or compass? What if I told you that bird relies on quantum entanglement, the same mysterious force Einstein called spooky action at a distance? What if life itself, from the cells in your body to the forests around you, is running on quantum technology billions of years more advanced than anything we've built? Welcome to Sleep Entangled, where the mysteries of quantum physics and the wonders of life merge into bedtime voyages of discovery. If you find peace in understanding how nature performs miracles at the smallest scales, remember to subscribe and let curiosity guide your nights. Now settle in, breathe deeply, and drift with me into the hidden quantum garden where life itself was born. Chapter 1. Life's Impossible. Precision, the quantum advantage, the miracle in every breath. Right now, as you breathe, trillions of molecular machines inside your cells are performing feats that should be impossible. Consider photosynthesis, the process by which plants convert sunlight into chemical energy. A photon of light strikes a chlorophyll molecule. Within 1/1,000,000,000th of a second, that energy must find its way through a maze of proteins to reach the reaction center, where it will be captured and stored. Classical physics says this journey should be slow, inefficient, riddled with wrong turns. The energy should bounce randomly, losing itself in dead ends, dissipating as heat. By all rights, photosynthesis should fail most of the time, yet it succeeds with 95 to 99% efficiency. For decades this puzzled scientists. How could nature be so precise? How could a chaotic, warm, wet biological system, the very opposite of the cold, isolated conditions quantum effects require, harness quantum mechanics? The answer, discovered only in the past 2 decades, is astonishing. Life doesn't just tolerate quantum effects. Life exploits them. Life has been running quantum computers for 3.5 billion years. The birth of quantum biology. Quantum biology is the study of quantum phenomena in living systems. For most of the 20th century it was considered fringe science. Too strange, too unlikely, too far removed from the messy reality of cells and tissues. Physicists assumed quantum effects required extreme isolation. A single air molecule bumping into a quantum system would destroy its delicate coherence, the state where particles exist in multiple possibilities at once, and living systems are anything but isolated. They're hot, noisy, chaotic environments where molecules constantly collide. Yet in 2007, researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, led by Graham Fleming, made a breakthrough. Using ultra-fast laser spectroscopy, they observed quantum coherence in photosynthetic bacteria. Coherence that lasted far longer than theory predicted. The energy from absorbed light didn't take a single path through the protein complex. It took all possible paths simultaneously, existing in a quantum superposition. Only at the end did it collapse into the most efficient route, as if the system had tested every option in parallel and chosen the best one. This was quantum computing in action, but performed by bacteria that evolved long before humans even dreamed of such technology. Enzymes, nature's quantum machines. Enzymes are proteins that accelerate chemical reactions. Without them, the reactions necessary for life would take years, centuries, even millennia. With them, reactions happen in milliseconds. How? Classical chemistry struggled to explain it. The traditional model said enzymes lower the activation energy. the barrier a reaction must overcome, but the reduction they achieve is so dramatic that it defies conventional understanding. Enter quantum tunneling. In quantum mechanics, particles don't always need to go over a barrier, they can tunnel through it, vanishing on one side and appearing on the other without ever occupying the space in between. This sounds like science fiction, yet enzymes use it routinely. Hydrogen atoms, protons, even larger particles tunnel through molecular barriers that classical physics says should be impenetrable. In 2015, researchers at the University of Manchester and the University of Cologne discovered quantum tunneling in a human enzyme called soybean lipoxygenase. They found that hydrogen atoms were tunneling distances far greater than previously thought possible, and doing so even at body temperature. The enzyme wasn't just allowing tunneling, it was optimizing for it, structuring itself to enhance quantum effects rather than suppress them. Life, it seems, discovered quantum mechanics long before Planck or Heisenberg. The question that haunts biology, this raises a profound mystery. How did evolution discover quantum mechanics? How did natural selection, operating blindly through random mutations, stumble upon strategies that physicists only understood in the past century? One possibility: quantum effects aren't a clever trick life learned, they're fundamental to life itself. Perhaps life began in a quantum context, and the classical macroscopic biology we observe is simply quantum mechanics scaled up, still operating beneath the surface. If this is true, then understanding life requires understanding quantum mechanics. The two are inseparable. And perhaps, just perhaps, consciousness itself, the phenomenon of being aware, is another quantum process, another way life harnesses the impossible. So as you rest tonight, imagine the cells in your body, billions of them, each one a quantum laboratory, proteins folding, electrons tunneling, energy flowing through superpositions of possibility. You are not just made of atoms, you are made of quantum events. Countless quantum collapses occurring every instant, weaving together into the living, breathing experience you call yourself. Let that thought settle gently as we journey deeper into the quantum mechanisms that power the very phenomenon you're experiencing right now, vision itself. Chapter 2: Quantum Vision, How You See Light, the Miracle of Sight. Open your eyes. Light from distant stars, from the lamp beside you, from this very screen, enters your eye and, in an instant, becomes the vision color, shape, depth, all constructed from photons striking the retina. But here's what most people don't realize: you can detect a single photon. In 2016, researchers at Rockefeller University demonstrated that the human eye is sensitive enough to register individual quanta of light. Under ideal conditions, you can perceive a single photon, the smallest possible unit of light. This is a quantum phenomenon. A single photon is a quantum object, existing in superposition until it interacts with your retina and your biology is sensitive enough to detect it. But the quantum nature of vision goes deeper still. Rhodopsin, the quantum switch. Inside your retina are proteins called rhodopsin. When a photon strikes rhodopsin, it triggers a shape change, a molecular switch that initiates the cascade of signals we interpret as sight. This switch occurs in less than 200 femtoseconds, 200 quadrillionths of a second. It's one of the fastest reactions in biology, and it involves quantum mechanics at every step. The photon's energy excites an electron within the rhodopsin molecule. The electron enters a quantum superposition, exploring multiple energy states simultaneously. Within femtoseconds, the molecule contorts, the electron settles, and the signal is sent. Classical physics cannot explain this speed. The molecule would need to sample countless configurations randomly, slowly finding the right one. But quantum mechanics allows the molecule to explore all configurations at once, collapsing into the optimal state almost instantaneously. Your vision, your ability to read these words, to see the world, depends on quantum processes operating faster than thought itself. Color and quantum states. Color is not a property of light. It's a property of how your brain interprets the quantum states of electrons in your retina. Different wavelengths of light carry different amounts of energy. Red light carries less. Blue light carries more. When a photon strikes a cone cell in your retina, its energy excites electrons to specific quantum states. 3 types of cone cells exist, each sensitive to different energy ranges, different quantum transitions. Your brain compares the signals from these 3 types and constructs the experience of color. You don't see wavelengths. You see quantum energy differences, interpreted as red, green, blue, and all the colors in between. In a very real sense, color is a quantum phenomenon made conscious, the quantum efficiency paradox. Here's another puzzle. Your retina is astonishingly efficient. Nearly every photon that strikes a rhodopsin molecule triggers a response. There's almost no waste. Classical systems are never this efficient. Random thermal motion, the jiggling of atoms due to heat, should disrupt the process, causing photons to be absorbed without triggering vision. Yet your eyes work at near-perfect quantum efficiency, even at body temperature. How? The answer, researchers believe, involves a phenomenon called quantum coherence protection. The proteins surrounding rhodopsin aren't passive scaffolding. They're actively structured to shield the quantum process from thermal noise. Think of it as quantum error correction, but performed by evolution, not engineers. Over millions of years, natural selection refined the protein structure to maximize coherence, allowing quantum effects to persist just long enough for vision to occur. Life didn't fight against quantum mechanics. Life built itself around it. Photoisomerization, the quantum dance. The shape change in rhodopsin is called photoisomerization. The molecule shifts from one configuration to another, like a key turning in a lock. But here's the strange part. The molecule doesn't gradually transition. It jumps. One moment it's in configuration A, the next configuration B. There's no in between. This is quantum tunneling again. The molecule doesn't slowly rotate through every possible angle. It quantum tunnels from one shape to another, bypassing the classical pathway entirely. In 2018, researchers at the Max Planck Institute used advanced spectroscopy to observe this transition in real time. They found that the molecule explores multiple pathways simultaneously, a quantum superposition of shapes, before collapsing into the final configuration. Your vision is a collapse of the wave function, repeated billions of times per second, as photons strike your retina and rhodopsin molecules tunnel into new forms, the limits of classical explanation. For decades, biologists assumed vision was purely classical. Light hits a protein, a reaction occurs, a signal is sent. Simple chemistry. But the more we measure, the stranger it becomes. The speed, the efficiency, the precision, none of it fits classical models. Every time we look closer, we find quantum mechanics. Some researchers now believe that most biological processes involve quantum effects to some degree. It's not that life occasionally uses quantum mechanics, it's that life is quantum mechanics, expressed in molecules and cells and organisms. This has profound implications. If vision is quantum, what about thought? What about memory, emotion, consciousness itself? We'll explore those questions in later chapters. For now, let's turn to another quantum sense, one that allows birds to navigate across thousands of miles, guided by the invisible threads of Earth's magnetic field. So as you close your eyes and drift, imagine the rhodopsin in your retina, now silent, waiting for the next photon. Quantum switches resting in the dark, poised to collapse into sight when morning comes. Your eyes are quantum instruments, finely tuned by evolution to capture the smallest whispers of light and transform them into the vivid, colourful, three-dimensional world you call reality. Now let us journey into the skies, where birds perform an even more astonishing quantum feat: navigation by entanglement. Chapter 3: Quantum Navigation, Birds, Magnetism and Entanglement, the Mystery of Migration. Every autumn, millions of birds fly thousands of miles from breeding grounds in the Arctic to wintering sites in the tropics. They cross oceans, deserts, mountain ranges, journeys so precise that they return to the exact same nesting sites year after year. How do they navigate? For centuries, scientists proposed various mechanisms. The sun, the stars, landmarks all play a role. But in the 1970s, researchers discovered something extraordinary. Birds can sense Earth's magnetic field. They possess an internal compass, allowing them to orient themselves even on cloudy nights when stars are hidden. But the mechanism behind this magnetoreception remained a mystery for decades, until quantum physics provided the answer: the radical pair mechanism. Inside a bird's eye, yes, the eye, not the brain, are proteins called cryptochromes. When blue light strikes these proteins, it triggers the formation of what's called a radical pair, two molecules with unpaired electrons. Here's where it gets quantum. These unpaired electrons are entangled. Their spins are correlated. A change in one instantly affects the other, regardless of distance. This is quantum entanglement, the phenomenon Einstein famously doubted, calling it spooky action at a distance. Earth's magnetic field influences the spin states of these entangled electrons. Depending on the bird's orientation relative to the magnetic field, the radical pair evolves differently, producing different chemical products. The bird's brain detects these chemical differences and interprets them as directional information. The bird literally sees the magnetic field, overlaid on its visual perception like a ghostly compass. This isn't speculation. In 2021, researchers at the University of Oldenburg in Germany demonstrated that European robins lose their navigational ability when exposed to artificial radio frequencies that disrupt quantum coherence in cryptochromes. The radio waves don't block the magnetic field, they disrupt the entanglement. They destroy the quantum effect and the bird becomes lost. Entanglement in warm, wet biology. This discovery shocked physicists. Quantum entanglement is notoriously fragile. It requires extreme isolation, cold temperatures, vacuum conditions, shielding from any interference. Yet here it is, functioning inside the eye of a bird at body temperature, surrounded by water, proteins, and thermal chaos. How is this possible? Researchers believe the cryptochrome protein acts as a quantum sanctuary, shielding the radical pair from environmental noise just long enough, microseconds, for the bird to extract directional information. Its astonishingly elegant evolution didn't create a pristine quantum laboratory. It created a robust quantum sensor, evolved to function in the messy reality of living tissue, and it works. Birds migrate thousands of miles with pinpoint accuracy, guided by entangled electrons dancing in their eyes. the compass rose you cannot see. Imagine, for a moment, being a bird. You wake in the far north as summer fades. An instinct stirs within you. Time to fly south. You spread your wings, lift into the sky. The world around you is vivid. Trees, clouds, the setting sun. But overlaid on this is something else. A pattern of light and shadow, flickering with the orientation of your head. Turn left, and the pattern shifts. Turn right, and it shifts again. You adjust your heading until the pattern aligns, pointing south, and you fly. You don't understand why. You don't know about electrons or entanglement or magnetic fields. You simply follow the quantum compass evolution embedded in your eyes, trusting it as surely as you trust your wings, and beyond birds, the quantum senses of other creatures. Birds aren't alone. Monarch butterflies, sea turtles, even lobsters appear to use quantum magnetoreception. Monarch butterflies migrate thousands of miles from Canada to central Mexico, with no individual butterfly completing the entire journey. Generations are born and die along the route, yet the species returns to the same mountain forests every year. Researchers have found cryptochromes in butterfly antennae, suggesting a similar quantum mechanism guides them. Sea turtles, born on beaches, swim into the ocean and spend years wandering the open sea. Yet when it's time to nest, they return to the exact beach where they hatched. Sometimes decades later. How? They remember Earth's magnetic field at their birthplace and use quantum magnetoreception to navigate back. Even bacteria, simple single-celled organisms, contain magnetosomes, tiny crystals of magnetite that align with magnetic fields. While not as clearly quantum as cryptochromes, they suggest that magnetic sensing is ancient, perhaps one of the first senses life ever evolved. The spooky biology of entanglement. Entanglement is perhaps the strangest feature of quantum mechanics. Two particles can be linked such that measuring one instantly determines the state of the other, no matter how far apart they are. Einstein thought this proved quantum mechanics was incomplete. Something must be travelling faster than light to coordinate the particles, violating relativity. But experiments have confirmed entanglement is real. There are no hidden signals. The universe simply allows correlations that transcend space. And now we know life uses this phenomenon. Inside a bird's eye, two electrons exist in a superposition of spin states, entangled by the strange rules of quantum mechanics. Earth's magnetic field nudges this superposition, and the bird's brain reads the result. Life, in other words, has been performing quantum information processing for millions of years, extracting meaningful data from entangled states, collapsing superpositions to navigate the world. Can humans sense magnetism? Here's an intriguing question. Do humans have magnetoreception? We know we once did. Ancient human brains contain traces of magnetite, the same mineral found in magnetotactic bacteria and sea turtles. And in 2019, researchers at Caltech published a study suggesting that human brains do respond to changes in magnetic fields, though we're not consciously aware of it. Perhaps deep in our evolutionary past, we too relied on quantum compass senses to navigate, and perhaps buried in our biology, dormant but not destroyed, that sense still lingers, a quantum relic of our ancestors, silent but present, waiting to be rediscovered. A soft drift into the unknown. So as you settle deeper into rest, imagine the birds outside your window, asleep on branches, their cryptochromes dark and quiet. When dawn comes, those proteins will wake, entangled electrons will dance, and the birds will know, without thought, without question, which way to fly. You are related to those birds. You share ancestors who also navigated by quantum senses, who flew or swam or walked guided by invisible fields. And perhaps in dreams, in intuition, in moments when you simply know which way to go, those ancient quantum senses still whisper. Now let us turn from the skies to the heart of the cell, where another quantum miracle unfolds. Photosynthesis, the process that feeds nearly all life on Earth. If you're still with me in this late-night exploration, you're part of something rare. Minds willing to glimpse the quantum machinery humming beneath the surface of life itself. A quick subscribe helps others discover this peaceful journey, where biology meets the impossible, where science reveals the profound elegance hidden in every living cell. Now, let's continue deeper into the green world of plants, where sunlight becomes life through quantum wizardry, older than animals themselves. Chapter 4, Photosynthesis, Nature's Quantum Computer, the most important reaction on Earth. Every breath you take, every meal you eat, every moment of warmth you feel from the sun, all of it traces back to photosynthesis. Plants, algae, and certain bacteria capture sunlight and convert it into chemical energy, storing it in sugars that fuel the biosphere. Without photosynthesis, life as we know it would not exist. But photosynthesis is also one of the most efficient processes in nature. It captures and converts light energy with near-perfect precision, operating at quantum efficiency levels that human technology cannot match. For decades, this efficiency was a mystery. How could a warm, wet, chaotic biological system outperform the most sophisticated solar panels we can engineer? The answer: quantum coherence, the light harvesting complex. Photosynthesis begins with structures called light harvesting complexes, assemblies of proteins and pigments arranged in intricate patterns. When a photon strikes a pigment molecule, it excites an electron, creating what's called an exciton, a packet of energy. This exciton must travel through the complex to reach the reaction center, where it will be converted into chemical energy. Classical physics predicts this journey should be slow and inefficient. The exciton would bounce randomly from molecule to molecule, dissipating energy as heat, often failing to reach the reaction center at all. But measurements show the opposite. The exciton reaches the reaction center in less than a picosecond, a trillionth of a second, with almost no energy lost. How? Quantum coherence, exploring all paths at once. In 2007, Graham Fleming's team at UC Berkeley used ultra-fast laser spectroscopy to probe photosynthetic bacteria, specifically the Fenner-Matthews-Olson complex in Chlorobium tepidum. They discovered something extraordinary. The exciton wasn't taking a single path. It was taking all possible paths simultaneously. The exciton existed in a quantum superposition, exploring every route through the light harvesting complex at once. Only when it reached the reaction center did the superposition collapse, selecting the most efficient path retroactively. This is quantum computing in action. The system doesn't search for the optimal path by trial and error. It evaluates every possibility in parallel and chooses the best one. Imagine walking through a vast maze. A classical approach would require testing each path sequentially, backtracking when you hit dead ends. A quantum approach would explore all paths simultaneously, collapsing into the correct route instantly. Photosynthesis uses the second approach, and it's been doing so for over 2 billion years. The mystery of long-lived coherence. Quantum coherence is fragile. In laboratory quantum computers, coherence lasts nanoseconds at best, and only under carefully controlled conditions, near absolute zero, isolated from all environmental interference. Yet in photosynthesis, coherence persists for hundreds of femtoseconds to several picoseconds at room temperature inside wet, noisy protein complexes. This shouldn't be possible. Thermal noise, the random jiggling of atoms due to heat, should destroy coherence almost instantly. Yet it doesn't. Why? Researchers discovered that the protein scaffold surrounding the pigments isn't passive. It's actively structured to protect coherence. The proteins create an environment where quantum effects are enhanced, not suppressed. Some scientists call this quantum biology's Goldilocks zone. Conditions that are neither too cold nor too hot, neither too isolated nor too exposed. The environment is tuned just right for quantum processes to flourish. This suggests that evolution didn't stumble upon quantum effects by accident. Evolution optimized for them, sculpting proteins over millions of years to exploit quantum mechanics as efficiently as possible. The role of vibronic coupling. In 2013, researchers discovered another piece of the puzzle: vibronic coupling. Vibrations in the protein scaffold, molecular oscillations, interact with the electronic states of the exciton. These vibrations don't destroy coherence, they enhance it, guiding the exciton along the most efficient path. It's as if the protein is singing, and the exciton dances to the music, following the vibrational pathways to its destination. This was unexpected. Classical intuition says vibrations add noise, disrupting quantum processes. But in photosynthesis they add order, stabilizing coherence and improving efficiency. Life, it seems, has mastered quantum classical hybrid systems, blending the probabilistic power of quantum mechanics with the stability of classical vibrations to create something more robust than either alone quantum biology versus quantum engineering. Human-made quantum computers require extreme isolation. They operate at temperatures near absolute zero, shielded from all external interference. Even a single stray photon can collapse the system, destroying the computation. Yet photosynthetic organisms operate at room temperature, bathed in sunlight, surrounded by thermal chaos, and they maintain quantum coherence. This has profound implications for technology. If we can understand how life protects quantum coherence in warm, wet environments, we might design room temperature quantum computers, revolutionizing technology. Some researchers are already exploring bio-inspired quantum engineering, using lessons from photosynthesis to build more robust quantum devices. Nature solved the problem billions of years ago. We're only now beginning to catch up. The quantum efficiency of different organisms. Not all photosynthetic organisms are equally efficient, but all use quantum processes. Green sulfur bacteria, which live in deep sea vents with minimal light, have evolved some of the most sophisticated light harvesting systems known. They can capture and convert nearly 100% of available photons, a level of efficiency unmatched by any human technology. Higher plants are slightly less efficient but far more adaptable. They've evolved mechanisms to protect themselves from too much light, preventing damage while still maintaining high quantum efficiency. Even ancient cyanobacteria, among the first photosynthetic organisms, use quantum coherence. Photosynthesis isn't a recent innovation, it's one of life's oldest quantum technologies, a thought experiment, the quantum leaf. Imagine holding a leaf. It's green, soft, familiar. But zoom in, past the cells, past the chloroplasts, into the thylakoid membranes where photosynthesis occurs. You see forests of protein complexes, each one a quantum machine. A photon arrives. Instantly an exciton is born. A ripple of quantum possibility spreading through the complex for a fleeting instant. The exciton is everywhere and nowhere, exploring every path at once. Then, in less than a trillionth of a second, state collapses into the reaction center. The energy is captured, stored, ready to become sugar, to become growth, to become the oxygen you breathe. You're holding, in your hand, a device more sophisticated than any quantum computer humanity has built. And it was crafted not by engineers, but by evolution, blind, random, yet exquisitely effective, a gentle rest. As you drift, imagine the forests, the fields, the oceans, all of them humming with quantum processes, photons collapsing into life, superpositions resolving into energy, the entire green world running on algorithms older than thought itself. You're surrounded by quantum biology. It is in the grass, the trees, the plankton in the sea, and it is in you, in the mitochondria of your cells, using quantum principles to extract energy from food. Life is quantum, and you are life. Now, let us descend deeper still into the engine of the cell, where another quantum process unfolds, ATP synthesis, the reaction that powers nearly every action your body takes. Chapter 5, ATP synthesis and quantum tunneling in respiration, the energy currency of life. Every movement you make, every thought you think, every heartbeat that sustains you, all of it is powered by a molecule called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. ATP is life's universal energy currency. Cells break it down, releasing energy that drives everything from muscle contraction to nerve signals to protein synthesis. Your body produces approximately your own body weight in ATP every single day. A 150-pound person synthesizes 150 pounds of ATP daily, cycling the same molecules over and over, thousands of times. This is an astonishing feat of molecular machinery, and at the heart of it lies quantum mechanics. The ATP synthase, a quantum turbine ATP, is synthesized by an enzyme called ATP synthase, a molecular machine embedded in the inner membrane of mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells. ATP synthase looks like a tiny turbine. Protons flow through it, driven by a concentration gradient created during cellular respiration. As protons pass through, they cause a rotor to spin, and this mechanical rotation drives the synthesis of ATP from ADP and phosphate. It's a marvel of biological engineering. But here's the quantum part. The protons don't flow smoothly. They tunnel. Quantum tunneling in proton transport. Protons are positively charged particles, hydrogen atoms stripped of their electrons. To move through the ATP synthase, they must navigate a complex protein structure, crossing barriers that would be insurmountable in classical physics. Quantum tunneling allows them to cheat. Instead of going over the energy barrier, protons tunnel through it, appearing on the other side without ever occupying the space in between. This is the same phenomenon that powers the sun, nuclear fusion, where hydrogen nuclei tunnel through electromagnetic barriers to fuse into helium. In your cells, a gentler version of the same process drives ATP synthesis. In 2020, researchers at the University of Surrey used neutron scattering to study proton transfer in mitochondrial membranes. They found clear evidence of tunneling, with protons moving faster and more efficiently than classical diffusion could explain. Your cells are quantum machines, operating continuously every second of your life. The proton gradient, a quantum battery. The proton gradient across the mitochondrial membrane is sometimes called a quantum battery. It stores energy not as chemical bonds, but as a difference in proton concentration, a kind of pressure waiting to be released. When protons tunnel through ATP synthase, they release this energy and the enzyme captures it, forging new ATP molecules. This process is remarkably efficient, approaching 100% under optimal conditions. Classical chemistry cannot achieve such precision. Random thermal motion should scatter energy, reducing efficiency. But quantum tunneling provides a more direct path, minimizing losses. Life doesn't waste energy, it channels it with quantum precision. The role of quantum coherence in respiration. Recent studies suggest quantum coherence may play a role beyond tunneling. Electrons in the mitochondrial electron transport chain, the series of reactions that generate the proton gradient, may maintain coherence as they transfer between protein complexes. If true, this would mean your cells are running quantum algorithms every moment, optimizing energy extraction from food just as photosynthesis optimizes energy extraction from light. The evidence is still emerging, but the pattern is clear. Wherever scientists look closely at fundamental biological processes, they find quantum mechanics. The mitochondrial Eve and quantum heritage mitochondria were once independent bacteria, absorbed by ancestral cells over 1 billion years ago in a symbiotic union. They retained their own DNA, their own membranes, their own biochemistry. This means the quantum processes in your mitochondria are ancient, older than multicellular life, older than animals, older than plants. You carry within you the quantum machinery of primordial bacteria, still functioning, still tunneling protons, still synthesizing ATP, linking you to the deep history of a life on Earth. Your energy comes from quantum biology, billions of years old. Quantum metabolism and disease disruptions in mitochondrial quantum processes can lead to disease. Certain genetic mutations affect proton tunneling efficiency, reducing ATP synthesis and causing mitochondrial disorders, conditions characterized by muscle weakness, neurological problems, and organ failure. Some researchers speculate that age-related decline in mitochondrial function may also involve quantum effects. As mitochondria age, quantum coherence may degrade, reducing efficiency and contributing to the symptoms of aging. If we could understand and repair quantum processes in mitochondria, we might treat or even reverse some age-related diseases. This is speculative, but it highlights a profound truth. Your health depends on quantum mechanics. Disruptions at the quantum level ripple upward, affecting cells, tissues, organs, and ultimately you. The elegance of quantum efficiency. Think about it. Every breath you take brings oxygen into your lungs. That oxygen travels to your cells, enters mitochondria, and participates in reactions that generate a proton gradient protons tunnel through ATP synthase. ATP is produced, energy is released. All of this happens automatically, without thought, without effort, billions of times per second in trillions of cells. And it works because of quantum mechanics. You don't just live in a quantum universe, you are sustained by it, moment by moment, breath by breath. So as you rest, feel your breath, slow, steady, nourishing. With each inhalation, oxygen enters. With each heartbeat, that oxygen fuels quantum reactions in your cells. Protons tunnel, ATP is born, energy flows. You are a living quantum system, and every function of your body depends on processes that defy classical physics. Now, let us turn to the most mysterious quantum process of all, the one occurring in your brain right now, as you read these words, as you think, as you are aware. Could consciousness itself be quantum? Chapter 6. Quantum Consciousness, Microtubules and the Orch-OR Hypothesis. The hard problem. Consciousness is the greatest mystery in science. You are aware. You experience colors, sounds, thoughts, emotions. There is something it is like to be you, a subjective inner world that no one else can access. How does this arise from matter? How do neurons firing in your brain produce the felt experience of being? This is called the hard problem of consciousness, articulated by philosopher David Chalmers. We can explain how brains process information, how neurons communicate, how sensory input becomes behavior, but we cannot explain why any of this is accompanied by subjective experience. Classical neuroscience assumes consciousness emerges from complex computation, billions of neurons firing in intricate patterns, and somehow from that complexity, awareness arises. But some scientists believe there's more to the story. They believe consciousness is quantum, the orchestrated objective reduction, Orch-OR hypothesis. In the 1990s, physicist Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff proposed a radical theory. Consciousness arises from quantum processes inside neurons, specifically within structures called microtubules. Microtubules are protein scaffolds that form the cytoskeleton of cells. They're responsible for cell shape, transport, and division. But Penrose and Hameroff suggested they have another function: quantum computation. According to their orchestrated objective reduction, Orch-OR hypothesis, microtubules can maintain quantum superpositions of states. These superpositions involve the collective behavior of electrons in the protein subunits that make up the microtubule. Conscious moments, in this theory, correspond to the collapse of these superpositions, orchestrated reductions of the quantum state guided by the structure of space-time itself. Consciousness, Penrose argued, is not just computation, it's a quantum gravitational process where the fabric of reality itself plays a role. Why microtubules? Hameroff, as an anesthesiologist, had long been puzzled by how anesthetics work. They're chemically diverse. Some are gases, some are liquids, some are large molecules, some are small. Yet all produce the same effect: loss of consciousness. He discovered that many anesthetics bind to microtubules, disrupting their structure. This suggested that microtubules might be crucial for consciousness. If consciousness were purely classical neural activity, anesthetics should affect synapses, the connections between neurons, but many anesthetics leave synaptic function intact while abolishing consciousness. This pointed to something deeper, something subcellular. Microtubules fit the bill. They're present in every neuron, and they're sensitive to anesthetics, quantum coherence in warm, wet neurons. The main objection to Orch-OR has always been decoherence. Critics argued that warm, wet, noisy neurons cannot maintain quantum coherence. Thermal noise would destroy superpositions almost instantly. But in 2014, a team led by Anirban Bandyopadhyay at the National Institute of Material Sciences in Japan provided surprising evidence. Using resonance techniques, they found that microtubules can sustain coherent vibrations at megahertz and gigahertz frequencies, far higher than expected. These vibrations weren't random thermal noise. They were organized, structured, persistent. More recently, in 2024, researchers at Wellesley College found that rats given epothalone B, a drug that binds to microtubules, took over a minute longer to fall unconscious when exposed to anesthetic gas. This suggests microtubules do play a role in consciousness. The door remains open. Or is still controversial, but it is no longer dismissed as impossible. Objective reduction. Consciousness from space-time geometry. Penrose's contribution to Orch-OR was the concept of objective reduction. He argued that quantum superpositions don't collapse randomly. They collapse when a threshold is reached, a threshold related to the curvature of space-time. In standard quantum mechanics, collapse is triggered by observation, but Penrose proposed that collapse is objective, built into the laws of physics. When a superposition involves enough mass energy, space-time becomes unstable, and the superposition collapses spontaneously. Consciousness, in this view, is the subjective experience of objective reduction occurring in the brain's microtubules. Each moment of awareness corresponds to a quantum collapse, a discrete event where possibilities resolve into actuality. This would explain why consciousness feels discrete, why experience seems to occur in moments, not as a continuous flow. Each collapse is a moment, and the succession of collapses creates the stream of consciousness, quantum entanglement, and the unity of consciousness. One of the mysteries of consciousness is its unity. You don't experience separate streams of awareness for each neuron. You experience a single, unified field of consciousness. How? Classical neuroscience struggles with this binding problem. If awareness is distributed across billions of neurons, what brings it together into a single experience? Quantum entanglement offers a solution. If neurons or microtubules in different parts of the brain are quantum entangled, their states are correlated. A collapse in one region could instantly influence collapses elsewhere, creating a unified conscious moment. This is speculative, but it's consistent with the mathematics of quantum mechanics. Entanglement allows non-local correlations, connections that transcend space, binding distant parts of the brain into a single quantum state. Your consciousness may be a network of entangled quantum states, collapsing in orchestrated harmony to produce the unified experience of being you. The free will question. If consciousness involves quantum processes, does that grant free will? In classical determinism, the future is fixed by the past. There's no room for choice. Every action is predetermined. Quantum mechanics introduces randomness. Outcomes are probabilistic, not predetermined. But randomness isn't the same as choice. A random process isn't free, it's just unpredictable. Penrose, however, argued for a third option. If consciousness involves objective reduction, collapses that are neither deterministic nor purely random, but influenced by the structure of space-time and the organization of quantum states, then perhaps there is a kind of freedom. Not freedom to do anything, but freedom within quantum constraints. A space where awareness participates in the collapse, guiding outcomes in subtle, meaningful ways. This is not proof of free will, but it opens a conceptual door that classical determinism closes. Criticisms and ongoing debate. Many neuroscientists remain skeptical. They argue that classical neural networks are sufficient to explain consciousness, and that invoking quantum mechanics is unnecessary. Others point out that even if quantum processes occur in neurons, that doesn't necessarily mean consciousness is quantum. Quantum effects might play a supporting role without being central to awareness. The debate continues, but one thing is clear: the idea that consciousness might be quantum is no longer fringe. It's a serious hypothesis, explored by reputable scientists, supported by emerging evidence, and consistent with the broader pattern of quantum biology. Life uses quantum mechanics in photosynthesis, in vision, in navigation, in metabolism. Why not in consciousness? As you drift deeper now, imagine the microtubules in your neurons, tiny, intricate structures humming with quantum vibrations. Perhaps at this very moment superpositions are collapsing, orchestrated by the geometry of space-time itself, giving rise to the awareness reading these words. You're not just thinking about quantum mechanics. You may be quantum mechanics, consciousness emerging from the strange, beautiful, impossible rules that govern the smallest scales of reality. Now, let us explore one final frontier: quantum effects in DNA, and the possibility that mutations, the very engine of evolution, are guided by quantum tunneling. Chapter 7: Quantum Genetics, DNA, mutations, and the origin of variation. The blueprint of life, DNA, is the molecule of heredity. It stores the instructions for building and maintaining every living organism 4 chemical bases, adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine, arranged in sequences millions of letters long, encode everything from eye color to enzyme function. But DNA is not static. It mutates. Errors occur during replication. Cosmic rays strike and damage bases. Chemical reactions spontaneously alter the code. These mutations are the raw material of evolution. Without them, life could not adapt, diversify, or evolve. Every new trait, every innovation, every species arises from mutations accumulating over generations. But what causes mutations? And could quantum mechanics play a role? Proton tunneling in DNA base pairing. In 1963, physicist Peroloff-Lovedin proposed a radical idea. Mutations might arise from quantum tunneling of protons within DNA bases pair in specific ways. Adenine pairs with thymine, cytosine pairs with guanine. These pairings are held together by hydrogen bonds, weak attractions between hydrogen atoms and other atoms. Lovedin suggested that protons, hydrogen nuclei, could tunnel from one position to another within these bonds, creating tautomers, alternative forms of the same molecule. If a base temporarily shifts into a tautomeric form during DNA replication, it might pair with the wrong partner. Adenine might pair with cytosine instead of thymine. The error would be copied, creating a mutation. For decades, this was theoretical. But in 2022, a team at the University of Surrey used advanced quantum simulations to show that proton tunneling in DNA is not only possible, but likely under physiological conditions. The simulations revealed that quantum tunneling occurs frequently enough to account for a significant fraction of spontaneous mutations, perhaps even the majority. Quantum mutations and evolution. If mutations are partly quantum, this has profound implications for evolution. Classical mutations are random: cosmic rays, copying errors, chemical damage. They occur without regard for the organism's needs. But quantum mutations, while still random, might follow different statistical patterns. The probability of tunneling depends on the energy landscape of the DNA molecule, which is influenced by the surrounding proteins, the chemical environment. The temperature evolution may have optimized these factors, tuning the quantum probability of mutations to balance stability and variability. Too many mutations and the organism can't survive. Too few and the species can't adapt. The quantum properties of DNA might provide a Goldilocks zone, allowing just the right rate of mutation for life to thrive and evolve. The fidelity paradox. DNA replication is astonishingly accurate. Enzymes copy the code with less than 1 error per billion bases. This is far more precise than classical chemistry predicts. How do replication enzymes achieve such fidelity? Part of the answer is proofreading. Enzymes check their work and correct mistakes. But even proofreading can't explain the full precision. Some researchers believe quantum effects play a role. The enzymes may be sensitive to the quantum states of bases, detecting tautomeric forms with extraordinary accuracy and rejecting them before they become permanent mutations. This would mean DNA replication is not purely classical. It's a quantum process, leveraging quantum sensitivity to maintain the integrity of the genetic code, epigenetics, and quantum effects. Beyond mutations, there's another layer, epigenetics, the study of how genes are turned on or off without changing the DNA sequence. Epigenetic modifications involve adding or removing chemical groups, such as methyl groups, to DNA or the histones around which DNA wraps. Recent research suggests quantum tunneling may also play a role here. methyl groups can tunnel between different positions, altering gene expression in subtle dynamic ways. If true, this means that not only mutations but also gene regulation, the moment-to-moment control of which genes are active, involves quantum mechanics. Your cells are quantum decision makers, constantly collapsing possibilities into gene expression patterns that shape your physiology, your health, and perhaps even your behavior. The quantum Zeno effect in DNA repair. We encountered the quantum Zeno effect earlier, the phenomenon where continuous observation prevents a quantum system from evolving. Some scientists speculate that DNA repair enzymes might use a version of this effect. By constantly observing, interacting with the DNA, they prevent dangerous quantum states from forming, effectively freezing the DNA in its correct configuration. This is highly speculative, but it illustrates how quantum mechanics might permeate every level of genetics, from mutation to repair to regulation, quantum entanglement and long-range interactions in DNA. In 2018, researchers discovered evidence of long-range quantum entanglement in DNA molecules. DNA isn't just a linear sequence of bases, it's a dynamic, three-dimensional structure. Bases far apart in the sequence can come close in space, interacting through weak forces. Quantum entanglement between distant bases could coordinate these interactions, allowing the molecule to communicate with itself at the quantum level. This might explain how enzymes find specific sites on DNA so quickly. In classical models, enzymes search randomly, sliding along the DNA until they find their target. But this is slow, too slow to explain observed reaction rates. Quantum searching, where the enzyme explores multiple positions simultaneously through superposition or tunneling, could accelerate the process. DNA might be using quantum algorithms to speed up its own regulation and repair. The origin of life and quantum chemistry. If life's fundamental processes, photosynthesis, respiration, vision, genetics, all involve quantum mechanics, could life itself have originated from quantum phenomena? Some researchers propose that the first self-replicating molecules arose because quantum tunneling allowed chemical reactions that would otherwise be impossible. In the harsh conditions of early Earth, high radiation, extreme temperatures, unstable chemistry, quantum effects might have provided a survival advantage, enabling proto-life to persist and evolve. Life, in this view, didn't conquer quantum mechanics. Life emerged from quantum mechanics and has been quantum ever since. So as you rest, consider the DNA in every cell of your body. 4 billion years of evolution encoded in quantum tunneling protons, in entangled bases, in molecules that dance between classical stability and quantum possibility. You're not just the product of classical chemistry. You're the expression of quantum mechanics, shaped by tunneling mutations, regulated by quantum gene expression, descended from ancestors who survived because they mastered the quantum rules of existence. And now, in our next chapter, let us ask, if life is quantum, what does this mean for the future? Can we harness quantum biology to transform medicine, technology, and our understanding of ourselves? Chapter 8. The Future of Quantum Biology. Medicine, technology, and beyond a new frontier. We stand at the threshold of a revolution. For most of the 20th century, biology was considered fundamentally classical. Quantum mechanics applied to atoms and molecules, but not to the warm, wet chaos of living systems. Now we know better. Life is quantum, and this knowledge opens doors we never imagined. Quantum medicine, targeting disease at the quantum level. If biological processes involve quantum effects, diseases caused by disruptions in these processes might be treatable with quantum precision. Consider cancer. Mutations in DNA drive uncontrolled cell growth. If we understand the quantum mechanisms behind mutations, we might develop therapies that prevent them. Drugs that stabilize DNA quantum states, reducing the mutation rate in vulnerable cells, or consider neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Some researchers believe these involve disruptions in microtubule function. If consciousness and neural coordination depend on quantum processes in microtubules, therapies that restore quantum coherence might slow or reverse neurodegeneration. In 2021, researchers at MIT demonstrated that certain anesthetics, which disrupt microtubule quantum states, can be reversed with specific light frequencies. If we can manipulate quantum states in neurons with light or electromagnetic fields, we might treat psychiatric disorders, enhance cognition, or even induce altered states of consciousness therapeutically. This is speculative, but the principle is sound. Understanding the quantum basis of biology opens new avenues for intervention. Quantum-enhanced diagnostics. Quantum biology also offers potential for ultra-sensitive diagnostic tools. Magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, already exploits quantum properties of atomic nuclei, but future devices might leverage quantum entanglement or coherence to detect diseases at earlier stages than currently possible. For example, quantum sensors could detect single-molecule events, individual proteins misfolding, individual DNA mutations occurring, catching disease at its quantum origin before it manifests macroscopically could revolutionize medicine. Bio-inspired quantum technology. If evolution has already solved the problem of room temperature quantum coherence, we can learn from it. Engineers are studying photosynthetic proteins to design better solar panels. By mimicking the quantum energy transfer in light harvesting complexes, we might create artificial photosynthesis systems that rival or exceed natural efficiency. Similarly, understanding cryptochrome-based magnetoreception could lead to new navigation technologies, ultra-sensitive magnetic sensors, or even quantum communication systems that operate without extreme cooling. Nature has been engineering quantum devices for billions of years. We've only been trying for decades. There's much to learn. Quantum biology and artificial intelligence. One of the most intriguing possibilities is the intersection of quantum biology and AI. If brains use quantum processes, could we build artificial intelligence that does the same? Quantum computers, once fully realized, might mimic the brain's quantum algorithms, achieving forms of intelligence impossible for classical machines. Some researchers speculate that true artificial consciousness, not just sophisticated behavior, but genuine subjective experience, might require quantum processes. A classical computer, no matter how complex, might never be conscious. But a quantum computer, structured correctly, might cross the threshold. This is deeply speculative, bordering on philosophy, but it illustrates the profound questions quantum biology raises. Enhancing human biology. If we understand the quantum processes that underlie life, could we enhance them? Imagine therapies that increase the efficiency of ATP synthesis, giving people more energy, faster recovery from fatigue, or treatments that enhance quantum coherence in neurons, improving memory, focus, or creativity. We might even extend lifespan by repairing quantum damage in mitochondria, restoring youthful energy production. These ideas are far in the future, but they're grounded in the science we've explored. If life is quantum, then optimizing those quantum processes could enhance life itself. Ethical considerations. With great power comes great responsibility. Quantum biology raises ethical questions. If we can manipulate consciousness at the quantum level, who decides how it's used? Could quantum therapies be weaponized, used to control or suppress awareness? If we enhance human biology, do we create inequality between those who can afford enhancements and those who cannot? And if we achieve quantum artificial intelligence, what rights does it have? Is a quantum AI conscious? Can it suffer? These are questions society will need to answer. The science is advancing. The ethics must keep pace. The limits of current knowledge. We must be humble. Quantum biology is still in its infancy. Much remains unknown. We don't fully understand how quantum coherence is protected in biological systems. We don't know whether consciousness is truly quantum or whether quantum effects are peripheral to awareness. We don't know the full extent to which evolution has optimized for quantum processes, but the trajectory is clear. Every year, new discoveries reveal more quantum phenomena in biology. The evidence accumulates. The picture sharpens. The poetic implications. Beyond the practical applications, quantum biology has profound implications for how we see ourselves. We're not separate from the quantum realm, we're expressions of it. Every thought, every breath, every heartbeat is a quantum event, a collapse of possibilities into the lived moment. You are not a classical machine, you are a quantum process, unfolding in accordance with the deepest laws of nature, connected to the universe in ways we're only beginning to fathom. Imagine the future, a world where medicine heals at the quantum level, where technology mimics the elegance of life, where humanity understands its place in the quantum tapestry. You are part of that future. The quantum processes within you link you to the stars, to the first cells, to the unfolding cosmos itself. And now, in our penultimate chapter, let us return to where we began, to the simple, awe-inspiring fact that life exists at all, and that it does so by harnessing the impossible. Chapter 9. The Quantum Garden. Life's place in the cosmos. The improbability of life. Life is improbable. Not just unlikely, but staggeringly, almost impossibly improbable. The conditions required are narrow, a planet at the right distance from its star-liquid water, organic molecules, stable temperatures, protection from radiation, and even with all that, the chemistry must align. Molecules must self-organize, replication must begin, evolution must proceed. Classical chemistry makes this seem miraculous. Random chance alone should never produce life. The universe is vast, but the odds are daunting. Quantum mechanics changes the equation, quantum catalysis, and the origin of life. We've seen that enzymes use quantum tunneling to accelerate reactions. But what about before enzymes? Before life itself? Some researchers believe quantum tunneling played a crucial role in the origin of life. In the primordial soup, the mixture of organic molecules thought to exist on early Earth, random collisions between molecules could create complex structures. But classical collisions are slow, inefficient. Most collisions don't lead anywhere. Quantum tunneling, however, allows particles to bypass barriers, exploring configurations that would be classically forbidden. This increases the probability of forming self-replicating molecules. In 2019, computer simulations of prebiotic chemistry showed that quantum effects dramatically increase the formation rate of RNA-like molecules, the building blocks of early life. Life may have emerged not despite the odds, but because quantum mechanics tipped the scales, making the impossible merely improbable, and the improbable inevitable given enough time. The quantum universe and fine-tuning. The constants of nature, the strength of gravity, the charge of the electron, the mass of the proton, appear fine-tuned for life. Change any of them even slightly, and atoms couldn't form, stars wouldn't shine, chemistry wouldn't work. This has led some to propose the anthropic principle. We observe these constants because only in a universe with these values could observers exist. But quantum mechanics adds a twist. In some interpretations, particularly the many worlds view, every possible value of these constants exists in different branches of the multiverse. We find ourselves in this branch because it's one where life is possible. Elsewhere, in other branches, the constants are different, and no one is there to observe. This doesn't explain why the multiverse exists or why it has the structure it does, but it removes the need for an external designer or cosmic coincidence. The quantum nature of reality generates all possibilities, and conscious observers naturally emerge in the branches where conditions allow. Life, as quantum computation physicist Seth Lloyd has proposed, that the universe itself is a quantum computer, processing information at the Planck scale. If this is true, then life is a particularly complex subroutine within that computation, a pattern of quantum information that has learned to self-replicate, adapt, and explore. Consciousness, in this view, is the universe becoming aware of itself, a feedback loop where quantum information processing reaches a threshold of complexity and reflects on its own existence. You are the universe, looking at itself through quantum eyes, asking quantum questions. The cosmic quantum garden. Imagine the cosmos as a garden. Stars are the soil, rich with heavy elements forged in nuclear fires. Planets are the pots, holding water and organic molecules. Quantum mechanics is the sunlight, illuminating possibilities, guiding chemistry toward life. In this garden, life is not rare, it's inevitable. Wherever conditions allow, quantum processes will explore the space of possible molecules, and eventually some configuration will stumble upon self-replication. Once that threshold is crossed, evolution takes over, and life diversifies, adapts, fills every niche. We may not be alone. Across the galaxy, across the universe, other quantum gardens may be blooming, other forms of life, harnessing quantum mechanics in ways we can't yet imagine. Quantum panspermia. Some scientists speculate that life might spread between planets, carried by meteorites or comets. This is called panspermia. But could quantum effects play a role? Could quantum coherence protect microorganisms during the harsh journey through space, preserving their delicate biochemistry against radiation and vacuum? There's no evidence yet, but it's an intriguing possibility. If quantum biology makes life more resilient, it might also make it more portable, increasing the likelihood that life, once started, spreads across the cosmos. What does it mean that life is quantum? It means we are not separate from the fundamental workings of reality. We're woven into the fabric of the universe at the deepest level. It means the same laws that govern particles in a lab govern the thoughts in your mind, the beating of your heart, the growth of a tree. It means life is not an accident, not a fluke, but an expression of what quantum mechanics allows, perhaps even what it demands. Quantum biology reveals something profound. Complexity emerges from simplicity. The rules of quantum mechanics are strange but finite. A handful of equations, a few fundamental constants, and from these, an entire universe unfolds. Stars, planets, molecules, cells, consciousness. You are an emergent phenomenon. Not in the sense of being less real, but in the sense of being a high-level pattern arising from low-level rules. You are quantum mechanics, organized into a form that can think, feel, wonder, love. And that is extraordinary. Your life is a quantum event, a fluctuation in the cosmic field that became aware of itself that learn to ask questions, to seek meaning, to contemplate its own existence. You are the universe experiencing itself, one quantum moment at a time, and when you sleep, when consciousness fades, you return to the quantum garden, the timeless field of possibility from which all life springs rest now in that knowledge. You are home. You've always been home, and tomorrow, when you wake, the quantum dance will begin again. Chapter 10. Closing Reflection. Quantum Wonder and the Miracle of Being Alive. The journey we've taken. We began with a question. How does life harness the impossible? We've journeyed through photosynthesis, where plants compute optimal energy pathways in quantum superposition. We've seen birds navigate by quantum entanglement, enzymes tunnel through molecular barriers, and ATP syntheses spin like quantum turbines. We've explored the possibility that consciousness itself is quantum, that your awareness arises from orchestrated collapses in the microtubules of your neurons, guided by the geometry of space-time. We've discovered that mutations, the engine of evolution, may be quantum events, protons tunneling in DNA, reshaping the code of life one quantum leap at a time, and we've glimpsed the future. Quantum medicine, bio-inspired technology, a deeper understanding of our place in the cosmos. But beyond the science, there is something more. There is wonder. The wonder of being. You are alive. Against all odds, against the vast improbability of existence, you are here, reading these words, thinking these thoughts. You are a configuration of atoms that has learned to be aware. You are matter that has become conscious of itself. This is not less miraculous because we can explain it with quantum mechanics. It is more miraculous because now we see the elegance, the precision, the staggering complexity that makes your existence possible. Every photon that enters your eye, every breath that fills your lungs, every heartbeat that sustains you. All of it is quantum biology, billions of years in the making, refined by evolution, operating with a precision no human technology can match. You're not a machine, you're a symphony, a quantum symphony, where every note is a collapse, every melody a pathway through possibility, every movement a dance of particles and fields and consciousness itself. The interconnectedness of all life quantum biology reveals that life is not isolated. It is interconnected, woven together at the quantum level. Birds share the sky with the magnetic fields that guide them. Plants share photons with the sun, entangled in the dance of light and energy. Your cells share evolutionary history with bacteria, mitochondria carrying the quantum heritage of primordial life. You are related to all of it, not just metaphorically, but physically, chemically, quantum mechanically. The atoms in your body were forged in stars. The quantum processes in your cells evolved over billions of years. The consciousness in your mind may be a ripple in the same quantum field that underlies all reality. You are not separate from nature. You are nature expressing itself in human form. The gift of curiosity. Curiosity brought you here. A desire to understand, to learn, to glimpse the hidden workings of life. That curiosity is itself a product of quantum biology. Your neurons, firing in patterns shaped by quantum events, generated the thought, what is life? How does it work? Why am I here? And in asking these questions, you participate in the universe's attempt to understand itself. You're not just observing reality, you're reality, becoming aware, asking questions, seeking answers. This is the deepest mystery, that the universe produces observers, that quantum mechanics generates consciousness, that matter organizes into forms capable of wonder. Knowing that life is quantum doesn't change the fact of your existence. You still wake, breathe, think, feel, love, suffer, dream. But it might change how you see it. Every moment is a quantum event. Every choice a collapse of possibilities. Every breath a cascade of quantum reactions sustaining you. You're not drifting through a deterministic universe, passively experiencing a pre-written script. You're participating in the collapse of the wave function, shaping reality through the simple act of being aware. This is not mysticism. This is physics. This is biology. This is the nature of what you are. And perhaps with this knowledge, you can live more fully, appreciating the staggering improbability and profound elegance of each moment. Science often strips away the poetic to reveal the mechanical. But quantum biology does the opposite. It reveals that the mechanical is poetic. Life is not a collection of gears and levers. It is a quantum dance, a play of probabilities, a symphony of collapses. You are not a thing, you are a process, a flow, a pattern of quantum events evolving through time. And when your time ends, when the quantum processes that sustain you cease, the atoms will scatter, the energy will dissipate. But the pattern, the information, the structure, the organization will remain, woven into the quantum field, part of the universe's ongoing story. You're temporary, but you're also eternal, a note in the cosmic symphony, sounding once but echoing forever. So as we close, let there be gratitude, not to any external force but to the universe itself, for organizing in such a way that you could exist, that consciousness could emerge, that a collection of particles could become aware and ask, why? Thank the quantum processes in your cells for sustaining you. Thank evolution for refining those processes over billions of years. Thank the stars for forging the elements that make up your body. Thank the quantum field for collapsing into this particular pattern that is you. And thank yourself for seeking, for wondering, for drifting through these explorations with patience and openness. This is not the end. Quantum biology is still unfolding. New discoveries emerge constantly, revealing deeper layers of quantum life. Stay curious, keep learning, let wonder guide you, and remember, you're not a passive observer of the quantum world, you are part of it. You are quantum biology in action, moment by moment, breath by breath. Rest deeply, dream gently, and know that when you wake, the quantum miracle of life will begin again, fresh and new. As if for the first time we've explored how robins navigate by entanglement in their eyes, how plants harvest light through quantum superposition, how your cells tunnel protons to create energy, and how consciousness itself might arise from quantum collapses in your neurons. If this exploration has stirred something within you, a sense of awe, a deeper curiosity, a quiet appreciation for the miracle of being alive, I invite you to subscribe to Sleep Entangled. Join us as we continue to explore the hidden quantum threads that weave through existence, where science meets serenity and wonder becomes wisdom. Like this video if it brought you peace or insight, and share it with those who seek to understand the extraordinary elegance hidden in the ordinary act of living. This is Sleep Entangled, where biology dreams in quantum equations and consciousness remembers that it was never separate from the cosmos. Until we meet again in another quantum exploration, rest deeply in the knowing that you are a miracle, not despite the physics, but because of it. Sleep well, quantum traveler. The universe breathes through you.